Good day, everyone. Now we're going to discuss something new. So let us begin with my presentation. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see it now. Let's try to review first everything that we have already discussed since October, from the first week of October. So we started with the first MELC number 1. Can you still remember the first topic? Okay, so MELC number 1 or week 1 is all about information from various sources. Okay? Then, what about the second week? Do you still remember it? Now, the second week is all about textual aids in understanding text. Let's proceed. The third week, what did we discuss? It's all about plot, setting, and characterization. What about in the third week? Fourth week, I mean. It's all about the sources of information, accessibility, and effectiveness. Yes. Let's proceed now to the fifth week. And it's all about analytical listening in problem solving. Okay? Now let's move on to the next week. And these were discussed for 2 weeks. It was evaluating and making judgments. So we're now going to move forward to the last MELC number 7. So what is MELC number 7 all about? So let Mario bring you to this journey. Okay? Welcome you to the week number 8. Okay? Let's continue. What is our first quest? I want you to listen to the song and answer the questions that follow. So this can be found, actually, the lyrics can be found on your module on page 33.
Half the world is sleeping, half the world's awake, half can hear their hearts beat, half just hear them break. I am but a traveler, been most everywhere. Ask me what you want to know. What a journey it has been, and the end is not in sight. But the stars are out tonight, and they're bound to guide my way. When they're shining on my life, I can see a better day. I won't let the darkness in. What a journey it has been. I have been
right. Thank you, Leia Salonga, for your song of the journey. Okay. Now let's begin with this question. How did the singer deliver the song in terms of pronunciation? Now, if you will think about it, Leia sounds really like she's a native English speaker. Okay. So maybe because it can be because of her long years of training, especially for theater, you need to clearly pronounce words. At the same time, sing it with the right tune. So, because of the rigorous training that she had, the long experiences that she had with singing in theater or in opera, then she was able to harness her pronunciation skills. Okay? Now, are the words understandable? Precisely, yes. Describe the song's tone. When we talk about the tone, we're talking about the feelings or the emotions present in the song. Like half the world is sleeping, half the world's awake, half can hear their hearts beat, half just hear them break. So it's like this the tone in this part of the song is like it's very gloomy, it's very reflective. It's like you're trying to think of things as you ponder about the night. Okay? And there are some parts that tell us that the emotion of the speaker is changing, but she can see both sides of the story, not just the sad part, but also the positive part of it. Okay, when it comes to the volume, what a number two, we're now actually answering the number two. When it comes to the volume, it's also varying. Some words are sung in a very soft tone, while the rest are not. In terms of pitch, it's not a high pitch all throughout. So we could say that uh, there are varying pitch, pitch and volume and speed at the same time. So it changes. Now, let's proceed to the third question. Are the thoughts or ideas portrayed in the song organized? Explain your answer. So if you're going to look at page 33 of your module, it started first with showing the first scenario on the way that half of the world is sleeping while the others are awake. So it shows different sides. Then half can hear their hearts beat and half just hear them break. So we see both the negative and positive experiences of traveling. On the next stanza, it says, I am but a traveler in most every way. Ask me what you want to know. Then afterwards, it proceeds to the refrain, what a journey it has been and the end is not in sight. So the journey still continues, but the stars are out tonight and they're bound to guide my way. So there are stars that give us direction. So those are the next ideas. When they're shining on my life, I can see a better day. I won't let the darkness in. What a journey it has been. So when they're shining on my life, so it's still there's a certain kind of connection from the previous stanza to the next, because they're shining. What is that they're referring to? It's the stars. But the stars are out tonight, then later on, and they're bound to guide my way when they're shining on my life. So because of the pronoun use, the pronoun there's a certain kind of connection from one stanza to another. Okay, then after that journey, she proceeds to another verse. I have been to sorrow, I have been to bliss. Where I'll be tomorrow, I can only guess. So again, it tries to point out both the positive and negative side of journeying or experiencing life. And then afterwards, through the darkest desert, through the deepest snow, forward, always forward I go. Now, this shows again positivity. Okay? Then the refrain continues again. And then after that refrain, another verse, I think this is the bridge. Forward, always forward, onward, always up, catching every drop of hope in my empty cup. So there's still a sense of positivity being shown. Okay? And then the refrain is repeated. And then it ends with what a journey it has been. So I guess if you try to analyze it, the ideas are organized in such a way that there's a cohesion, there's unity of thought, that everything from the start to the finish, it tells us both the positive and negative side of the experiences of life. Okay? Now, what meanings or reflections does a song portray? So if you try to think about it, we can say that the journey of life is not always bad, it's not always good. So it's a combination. And that makes that makes life very exciting. Because I think it's gonna be monotonous or very dull or boring if every day of our lives we will be happy, or every day of our lives we will be sad. So there should be kind of balance. And that kind of balance will push us to continue living. Okay? Because if we are always happy all the time, what is the sense of living it? There's no more sense of trying hard every day to live, because you've already attained the eternal, or the what we call the lasting happiness. So because there's always something to look forward to if there's a kind of balance between the positive and the negative side of life. So that those are the meanings or reflections that we can get from the song. How about you? If you try to think about it, if you have a certain line that strikes you the most, okay, after I upload this video in the Google Classroom, you may make some comments on your reflections about the journey. Okay? Now, what is this all about? The things that I asked from you, okay, this is one example of how we can evaluate listening text. And this is the last topic that we are going to discuss for the first quarter. And if we try to recall everything that we have already done, okay, the last thing that you have performed, actually, a spoken word poetry, is an example of a listening text as well, when you are just going to use your listening skills, just listening to your delivery. Okay. No. Now, what is evaluating listening text all about? Our goal objective is for you to evaluate various listening texts in different forms using the given criteria. Okay? Now, what is listening? Actually, it's one of the most complex skills in terms of assessment. Why? Because it entails careful analysis of every detail of the listening process. So if you still remember before, we undergo different stages of listening. Okay? So it starts with the receiving stage only. Then afterwards, after recognizing the sounds that we hear, we proceed to the understanding stage, where there is already interpretation of the meaning. And then it proceeds to the evaluating stage, wherein we're trying to see, examine the details that are offered to us. And then comes the responding stage, wherein the listeners can provide verbal and non-verbal, are provided verbal and non-verbal feedback. And there's a certain response to it. How are they going to be reacting on certain parts of the listening text? And then the last stage is the remembering stage, which is the integration of Both the one who's sending the message or the listening text, the idea from the listening text to the receiver of the message, the one who listens to it. Meaning to say, there's remembering stage if you can already combine the ideas that they are saying to the experiences that you have, or you can relate to it. If you find something in what you are listening to relevant to your life, then that comes already the remembering stage. So you see, we need, because it undergoes certain processes, then this is this is one of the most complex skills in terms of assessment in how we are going to evaluate it. Now, listening also involves the analysis of the text and the various listening conventions such as fluency, tone, cohesion, and correction, among others. Okay? Actually, it's correctness. Okay, sorry. Fluency, tone, cohesion, and correctness. Okay? Now, listening texts vary in sources. So, you can say that a song is a listening text. Speeches, conversations, interviews, and the like. So, any text that involves listening skills, then that becomes a listening text. Okay? Next, what are the criteria in evaluating listening texts? So later you're going to analyze some speeches. So let's try to name one by one the different criteria. What is the first one? It refers to one's ability to clearly pronounce words with appropriate speed, accuracy, and expression. Okay? When we are talking about pronunciation and the way that you can vary your speed, accuracy, and expression depending on the idea that you are saying, then that is called fluency. So let's try to see how fluency works in the following words. Okay, so this involves pronunciation. So applying fluency using the IPA, okay, this is pronounced as quinoa. So quinoa, it's an annual herb of the goosefoot family that is native to the Andean highlands and is cultivated for its starchy seeds, which are used as food and ground into flour. Okay? So quinoa. Next. How about this? We often encounter this term, right, in our devices. So we often see this kind of picture in our cell phone, or it can be in our laptop. So it's a secure place of storage. So what do you think is the pronunciation of this? Using the IPA, it's called cache. Okay, but the spelling is CACHE, clear cache. So you're going to delete locally cached content and databases in the example given. Okay? Now let's try to read this. If ever we have the synchronous session, I'll be asking someone to read this. However, due to the limited time, and this is already our last week to meet each other synchronously, but because of the holiday, we failed to do so. So, how do you read this quotation by Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness, the film Pursuit of Happiness? Okay? All right. So, I'll just read it for you. Don't ever let someone tell you that you can't do something. Not even me. You gotta dream. You gotta protect it. When people can't do something themselves, they're gonna tell you that you can't do it. You want something? Go get it. period. Okay, so that is just one verbal exercise for fluency. Let's proceed to the next criterion. It refers to the feelings or emotions the speaker portrays in a listening text or material. In the previous MELC, you have encountered this, and you also graded your classmate based on this. Do you still remember the term? Yes, it's called tone. So let's try to identify the tone in the following scenario. What do you think is the emotion of the main actor in this scene?
Perhaps you should have done the same. This is blasphemy. This is madness. Madness. This is Sparta!
Okay. So obviously, the tone is angry. Okay? The tone is angry. All right? So there's an angry tone in the scene. Next.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Okay. So what kind of tone can you identify from this? Okay. So it's actually threatening. There's a threatening tone with the scene from Taken, from the father who's trying to warn the one who kidnapped his daughter to return his daughter if they don't want to regret it. Okay? Next. What do you call this term that deals with the loudness or softness of speaker's voice, indicating emphasis on important points or concepts? So when we're talking about loudness or softness, obviously you see this, you try to control this every time when you're watching TV, perhaps, okay, or with your cell phone to adjust the audio of your cell phone. So obviously it's called volume. So identify the volume in the following. If you still remember a while ago.
This is Sparta!
Okay, so obviously the volume is loud. Okay. From the movie 300. Okay? Let's proceed to the next. What do you think is the volume here?
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
So it's almost like in a whisper. So that's why this is considered soft. Okay? Next, it refers to the highness or lowness of the speaker's voice, and this involves the concept of intonation. Okay? So when we're talking about intonation, we vary the highness or lowness in different part of the either a word, a phrase, or a sentence. Okay? So highness or lowness of the speaker's voice, that is called pitch. And when we combine different pitch levels of pitch, then we can form intonation. So like this, the highest level for emphasis in a primary word, most common level is 3 primary word stress syllable. Second is the neutral level, used to start a thought group, and lowest level often the last speech of a thought group. So if it expresses a strong emotion, it may proceed to the highest level, number 4. And there are some questions okay, that has a rising intonation, meaning to say it can end with the number level 3 or level 4 of pitch, or statements can only be ending with the lowest level. Okay, so it becomes a falling intonation. Okay, so that's why you see pitch and intonation are very much related, because if we combine different levels of pitch, then we can form different types of intonation. Okay, now what about this? It refers to how slow or fast the speaker in speech or delivery. So because we're talking about slow or fast, obviously it is speed. Okay, so when to change your speed? To show importance, sometimes you need to slow down. To show sadness, you also slow down. To show confusion, the introduction of new ideas, you slow down. Now, if there's an indication of urgency, you have to speak faster. Or excitement, or passion, or emotion, strong emotion, then you have to speak fast. Okay? Next. What do you call this term? Is very essential as it indicates attitude or certainty. Of course, it's already present there. Aside from volume, so the answer is already given. Word choice. Okay. Indicates emphasis on important concepts. Okay. Let's continue. So, for weak words, okay, you can use this kind of words. I almost forgot to get snacks. Comparing it with strong words, I almost forgot to purchase snacks. Okay? So I went here, so I hurried. Okay? And then I like Adele, I adore Adele. That's stronger word. And then happy, if you want to intensify it, it becomes ecstatic. And for awards, okay, if you want to make it stronger, you can give a specific kind of award. Okay, now word choice can also mean that it shows also the kind of depth or the kind of lingo being used by the speaker. So as I've mentioned before, there can be formal and conversational or informal tone, sometimes very technical because the use of some jargons like sports jargons, scientific jargons. So that's very technical. Sometimes very slang, like full of street or foul language. So that those are also part of word choice. Okay. Next, it refers to the organization of words, phrases, and concepts presented in a listening text. So how we organize the words, that's what we call cohesion. Okay? So organization, because one idea is connected to another, then it's organized. So like you have encountered in our previous discussion, cohesion is also organization, not only connection. So how do we improve cohesion? We have to use words like this. To introduce an explanation, we can use these words in the first column. To suggest a possibility or condition, we can use those in the second column. To help you to know at what time the action happened, we can use these words. To introduce a change of direction or show contrast. To introduce an addition, or at the last column, present a choice. How about this? It refers to the rightness or precision, not only in grammar, but more importantly, in the accuracy in concept. So when we're talking about rightness, this is what we call correctness. Okay? So these are some common grammar mistakes. When you use every, it should be paired up with a singular noun. So you don't say every student's like, it should be every student likes. Okay? So again, every should be followed by a singular noun. I must call to him immediately. It should be I must call him. No need for the pronoun. Preposition to. Because must is a modal, it should be uh, the word must should be combined with the base form of the verb. So it should be call. Because to call is infinitive. Next, he was boring in the class. So usually boring is something that it refers to an idea or a thing or a certain presentation. But maybe if you were talking about him as a person, that he's a boring conversationalist, then that can be. But if we're talking about his feelings while he is in the class, you should say he was bored in the class. So you see, this is what we call accuracy also in the idea that you'd like to present. She's married with should be she's married to a lecturer. The man which works here, which should be used only for objects or abstract ideas, not for persons. So the man who works. So same thing, I must call him. It's already repeated. I have visited Paris. Then you say last weekend. That's going to be wrong. Because if you use last weekend, that is a time expression for past, simple past. So you should make use of simple past. I visited Paris last weekend. Then I like very much ice cream. So there's a wrong sequence. So it's also a grammar mistake. So I like ice cream very much. Okay. And another common mistake that also violate at times is putting already at the end. I have called him already. So it's wrong. It should be I have already called him. Okay, but we often hear people say putting already after the present perfect tense, but it should be after the helping verb has or have. I have already or she has already, okay, before the verb done, before the main verb, okay? She has already accomplished it. They have already watched, they have already seen that movie, okay. Not they have seen that movie already. But most of the time, I myself also commit that at times, putting already at the end of the sentence. But that's something that we can correct. Okay, then let's proceed now to our learning quest number 3. So listen to the speech. This is learning quest number 3 because the learning quest number 2, it will be given as an asynchronous task too. Okay, for bonus restation or for optional restation points, because we did not meet synchronously and I want you to earn restation points. I'm putting the learning quest number 2 as part of your restation points. Okay, I want you to listen to the speech of former US President Barack Obama, and then we're going to answer some questions about it. It's found on page 35. The speech starts from page 35 of your module, and then the questions, it continues to the next page, page 36. Okay, you are going to answer the following questions. First, who were the persons mentioned in the speech, and determine the roles they played for the speaker. Then at the same time, you're going to answer the question, what are his last requests to the American people? And what does yes we did or yes we can emphasize? Then we're going to use the indicators. You're going to review the terms that you encountered a while ago. We are going to analyze them. The fluency, tone, volume, pitch, speed, word choice, cohesion, and correctness in the way he delivered the speech. So I want you to watch carefully.
Michelle. Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, girl of the South Side. For the past 25 years, you have not only been my wife and mother of my children, you have been my best friend. You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor. You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And a new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model. So you have made me proud, and you have made the country proud. Malia and Sasha, under the strangest of circumstances, you have become two amazing young women. You are smart and you are beautiful, but more importantly, you are kind and you are thoughtful and you are full of passion. And you wore the burden of years in the spotlight so easily. Of all that I have done in my life, I am most proud to be your dad. I do have one final ask of you as your president. The same thing I asked when you took a chance on me 8 years ago. I am asking you to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. I am asking you to hold fast to that faith written into our founding documents, that idea whispered by slaves and abolitionists, that spirit sung by immigrants and homesteaders and those who marched for justice, that creed reaffirmed by those who planted flags from foreign battlefields to the surface of the moon. A creed at the core of every American whose story is not yet written. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All right. So, who were the persons mentioned in the speech? And then try to determine the roles they played for the speaker. This is actually longer in your module. However, due to the limited time for this asynchronous session, so I just chose a part of it, okay? But if you still remember, the first one that he mentioned was his wife, Michelle, okay? And the second one, second and third actually are his daughters, Malia and Sasha. So what were the roles that Michelle had? So, of course, Michelle was his wife, the mother of his children. He mentioned that she is his best friend, and she made the White House a welcoming place for everybody. and she can be considered also the new generation's role model. While as for his daughters were his pride for being smart, beautiful, kind, thoughtful, and passionate. Okay? Second, what are his last requests to the American people? Actually, he asked them to hold fast that faith from their forefathers, to believe in each of their ability to bring about change. Because this speech was delivered before when his term ended. So that means to say, while he was giving his farewell speech, he was asking the audience to believe not on how he could uh, stir up change, but it's more of believing in each of their ability to bring about the same change that occurred. Because he's the first Black American to be elected as the US president. So what does yes we did, yes we can emphasize? Oh, forgive me for the 2 question marks for the typographical error. Okay. But as for me, it's a symbolic statement that a Black like him was able to rise above the racial discrimination to become the US president, the highest position on the land, and acknowledgement on how the Americans can recognize one's abilities beyond one's color. So, yes, we did, because the we, referring to the Americans, they were already able to believe on the ability of a Black American. And yes, we can, which means to say that we can still continue believing that there will no longer be racial discrimination. Okay? Now, let's examine this time using the different indicators. First, fluency. I think he's a very fluent speaker. He clearly pronounces words with appropriate speed, accuracy, and expression. And this is one of his strengths. That's why he has a certain kind of charisma with the audience. As for the tone, if you notice, he's very thankful, appreciative, and optimistic in his speech, in the speech that he delivered. Then for volume, it's actually there's a variety. At some points he's loud, and there are some points that it's soft, and he's trying to speak louder in highlighting ideas. When it comes to the pitch, he was able to maintain a natural pitch, getting higher only to emphasize some points. Then for speed, it was not so fast. Actually, he was taking pauses to give the audience chance to reflect. Okay? Especially during the part that he was trying to describe his wife and his role into his life while he was the president. So he was really emotional during that time that he took a long pause and wiped his tears. So that's why he's using pauses. So he's not that fast in speaking. For the word choice, okay, you will notice that mostly positive words with powerful, inspiring ideas using symbolisms. Okay, especially when he was trying to recall the times that he the faith written into our founding documents, whispered by slaves, very descriptive in this part. The spirit sung by immigrants and homesteaders and those who marched for justice. This is very descriptive. It forms imagery in your. There are some images that are formed in your head while he is describing these ideas. And then for cohesion, you'll notice that words flow with smooth connection from one idea to another. Okay, starting from trying to acknowledge different people in his life, up to the last part that he was trying to challenge to the American people to continue having faith in one's power to stir up change. And for the correctness, if you will examine in your module, actually, he's very precise in grammar and accurate in his ideas. Now, these observations later, you'll try to compare it with another speaker. Okay? Let's see what's the difference with the second speaker. Okay, so this is Learning Quest number 4. You're now going to listen to the speech of Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago explaining her verdict on Chief Justice Renato Corona. So this was during President Aquino's time. President Noynoy Aquino. Okay?
How much proof is necessary? In other words, what is the standard of proof? I have adopted the very high standard of overwhelming preponderance of evidence pursuant to the recommendation of Professor Charles Black of Yale University, author of The Impeachment, considered the Bible for the whole world on impeachment process in a democracy. My standard is very high because removal by conviction on impeachment is a stunning penalty, the ruin of a life. The defendant admitted that he did not declare his dollar accounts and certain commingled peso accounts in his SAL-N. Let us begin with this threshold question. Did this omission amount to an impeachable offense? No. Under the rule of just generis, when a general word occurs after a number of specific words, the meaning of the general word shall be limited to the kind or class of thing within which the specific words fall. The Constitution provides that the impeachable offenses are culpable violation of the Constitution, treason, bribery, graft and corruption, other high crimes, or betrayal of public trust. An omission in good faith in the SAL-N carries a light penalty and is even allowed by law to be corrected by the person who submitted it. Thus, it is not impeachable because it is not in the same class as the offenses enumerated in the Constitution. If we disregard this rule of just generis, then we can interpret the law to mean anything as long as the enumeration of specific words is followed by a general word. Wala nang limitasyon yon. Pag sinabi pala ng Constitution, other high crimes or betrayal of public trust, wala na palang limitasyon yon. Iyan, kung hindi ka nag-aaral ng batas. Sabi ng batas, you apply the rule of just generis. Kailangan may listahan na isa-isa nilang sinasabi kung anong kasalanan at merong isang salita na hindi mo malaman kung anong kasalanan, dapat basahin mo yan na pare-pareho doon sa kasalanan na nalista na. In other words, it should belong to the same class. Does omission in the SAL-N belong to the same class as, for example, treason, bribery, etc.? The Constitution simply provides that a public officer shall submit a declaration under oath of his assets, liabilities, and net worth. I am quoting the Constitution. That is all. There are no details. The Constitution is a brief declaration of fundamental principles. Many constitutional provisions are only commands to the Congress to enact laws to carry out the purpose of the Charter. As a general rule, constitutional provisions are not self-executory. Hindi naman pwede na basahin mong Constitution na para ka bang nagbasa ng dyaryo tapos kanya-kanya kayong interpretasyon. Hindi ganon yun. Kaya meron tayong constitutional law, which is said to be the most difficult subject to pass in the entire College of Law. Hindi ganon kadali magbasa ng Constitution. Constitutional analysis is a field of art in itself. It is a technical field. Kaya 4 na taon ang abogasiya. Kung baskasiyon lang pala pwede mag-interpret ng Constitution, bakit pa tayo may mga abogado? Kanya-kanya na lang. The usual exceptions are the Bill of Rights, yan, self-executory yan. Basahin mo, sundin mo. And constitutional provision, pag sinabi ng batas, hindi pwede ito, yan, sundin mo kaagad. Pero lahat, hindi mo pwedeng masunod kaagad-agad. Magantay ka kung anong batas ang ipapasa ng Kongreso. Wala kaming ginagawa sa Kongreso kung hindi magantay kung anong sinabi ng Constitution. That is the main function of legislation.
Okay, so that's only an excerpt because As I've said a while ago, we only have limited time during your asynchronous schedule, okay? So, let's try to examine the indicators. And if you're going to compare the President Barack Obama with Senator Miriam Santiago, they are really different individuals in terms of speaking. But for fluency, we could say that she also clearly pronounces words, but with a Visayan accent. Okay? So there are some words that are not properly enunciated or pronounced because, of course, she's very famous for being an Ilongga. Okay? Next, for the tone, obviously, she's angry. She has a certain disapproving, criticizing tone because of the way that she's trying to show frustration or dissatisfaction with how the senators decided against the Chief Justice, okay, during this time. The volume, mostly loud to very loud, to put more conviction in highlighting ideas. So forgive the typographical error, okay? Then what about the pitch? So usually it's high pitch because she's really angry. She's really at the top of her emotions, okay? Speed. She's also very fast in speaking because she's trying to express a sense of urgency in defending the Chief Justice. And she's really showing a certain kind of very strong emotion to the way that she was dissatisfied with the outcome. Okay, or how the senators voted against the Chief Justice. Okay? For word choice, mostly using legal terms to explain the content of the Constitution. So she mentioned about adjustum generis, okay? But when a general word occurs after a number of specific words, so very technical about legal terms, okay? The word choice that she's using. Usually she really has a rich stock of vocabulary words, and she's really admirable with that. And we also have cohesion. When you say cohesion, words flow with smooth connection from one idea to another, and sometimes switching to the Filipino language to show frustration. Okay, and correctness, she's also precise in grammar and accurate in her ideas. So you see how we were able to evaluate different listening texts, okay? From a song, then to the different speeches from somebody who's a Native American and to somebody who's from the Philippines. Okay? So I hope you learned something from that. And for your asynchronous tasks, so please check your Google Classroom. That's where you can see the optional recitation points via Kahoot. And it's due at 6 p.m. on the asynchronous day for English. So meaning to say, if you are from STE, Einstein, Newton, Rutherford, it will be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. That will be closed. And if you are from Beck, because it's only actually Nazareth A that I'm meeting every Monday, okay, then you have to answer this on or before 6 p.m. on Wednesday, okay? And for the summative test, it's due at 6 p.m. a day after the asynchronous day for English. Meaning to say, for STE, it's due at 6 p.m. on Wednesday because Tuesday is your schedule. And for Nazareth A, it's due on Thursday, a day after the asynchronous day for Beck, which is Wednesday. And reflection is due on Friday. Okay. So it's almost Christmas break. And I'm sorry, guys and girls, we're not able to meet at this last synchronous session. But I hope you've learned something and that will reflect upon your summative tests on MELC 7 Okay? And at the same time, I will see your feedbacks. I will read your feedbacks based on the reflection. Thank you so much. And God bless you all in advance. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.